Hey, Big E, my man, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing great. We're days out from WrestleMania. We find out Wale's performing your theme song at WrestleMania this coming weekend. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. That's my guy. So, it's first of all, man, he's one of my favorite rappers there is. But also to have my friend and someone who's a huge wrestling fan as well. And I was geeked just to be able to get him to perform. He's my entrance song is Wale. That's
Yeah.
incredible. And to have him perform me out at home, like Tampa's my home, is incredible. So, man, I'm so stoked about it when they reached out to me. It's been something we've been trying to get Wale for years. We tried to get him at a Mania a couple of years ago. Things didn't work out, but man, I'm so excited about it, and I know he is too. Just as a big fan, and it's a dream come true.
Yeah, and everyone else is going to be excited about it too. And everything happens for a reason, because even if it happened a couple of years ago, I mean, it still would have been cool, but I think it means that much more because this is your first singles WrestleMania, right, in a singles match?
Yeah, I should know this, but I didn't know, I didn't realize this until a week ago when someone mentioned it, and I thought, oh, I guess it's a thing. I never had a singles match. Because my very first WrestleMania was with Dolph. We took on Team Hell No.
Yep.
And then since then it's been all New Day tag stuff. And even when Kofi had his singles match, I was just there supporting him. We've had ones where we hosted a Mania. And when I went through that mental Rolodex, I realized it had all just been tag matches.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you mentioned the WrestleMania debut with Dolph. I mean, not only was not that your first WrestleMania, that was your first match ever at WrestleMania, just in general. And you made your in-ring debut on that as part of the main roster, which is cool. But back to the Wale thing, I think what's especially cool about this, I had never been one myself, but I'm sure you have, obviously. The Wale Mania parties over WrestleMania weekend for the last, oh God, it's been going on for years now. This has got to be awesome, right? To go from attending those parties the weekend of WrestleMania to then not only having him at WrestleMania, but then performing your theme song. It's kind of going full circle.
Yeah, man. He didn't get enough credit because Wale has really been working to build that bridge between pro wrestling, WWE, and also with hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I realized years ago is that so many of the rappers as a hip hop head that I really enjoyed were just big, just massive wrestling fans. And I kept thinking man, we should just be doing so much more to connect those those bridges. And I love that. That's what he's really been doing, is bringing the culture to WWE. And I think it's so dope. He's got this really cool launch. It's Wale, Foot Locker, and Kazim Afumayed.
Mm-hmm.
They worked on this really dope launch of t-shirts, just kind of they're silhouettes of former Black World Champions. And I just love that, him. He's always just been such a massive fan and so authentic. I think oftentimes you have celebrities or musicians and you bring them in and you can tell maybe they watched wrestling as a kid or maybe they would dabble a little bit here, but you could tell with him how authentic it is. He's people use the term mark. He's a mark in the purest childlike sense. And when we did the rap battle years ago, which is also big for me, to have him MC the rap battle,
Mm-hmm.
but when we did that with the Usos, I love being able to see him. The first time he got in the ring, he was legit like a kid on a playground. He had the biggest smile on his face. And that really just reminds me of what wrestling is supposed to be, man. It's this beautiful escape. It's often weird and unique and just wildly fun. It just takes you back to when you were a kid. And he has so much of that childlike enthusiasm and love for what we do in our industry, and so he's just perfect for this.
Yeah, and I don't think New Day gets enough credit. Kind of going off of what you said about how you and Wale making that music connection over into the the hip hop world and everything else. Xavier Woods making that connection over to the video game world. What's Kofi bringing to the table as part of this?
Sneakers, man, sneakers.
Sneakers, okay.
And he's a huge sneakerhead, and hopefully he'll get more opportunities to do different things like that. But that's a part of the culture and streetwear that I'm not even that plugged into. But I know Kofi is a big sneakerhead, and if you head to his IG, you'll see him posting stuff all the time, or he's always wearing new stuff at shows and whatnot. But yeah, that's something that we take a lot of pride in, and I want to do more of that stuff as a hip hop head,
Mm-hmm.
just because I love it. I think it just makes so much sense. And like you said, Woods with the video games, which is when you look at the Venn diagram between wrestling fans and people who like are really into video games, like at times I almost wonder if they're concentric circles because it's such a natural crossover, and he's found such a beautiful way to highlight that and to kind of bring those communities together.
Yeah, I mean, with this WrestleMania specifically, too, this is the first WWE event back with fans in over a year since March of 2020. This is going down at WrestleMania. That has got to make this extra special, right? Because not only are you having that live performance, which would have been cool even without fans. If it was at the Thunderdome, again, it's still cool, but having that audience there, like a live concert, not a full arena, obviously, but it's still got to make it that much more special with this being the first event back with fans, right?
Yeah, it feels like, man, it almost feels like a reunion. Like we're back. It's our friends all back together. And you know, on top of that, man, the cherry on top of it is this is home for me, man. This is my city, born and raised here, still live here. So that's incredible. Yeah, but man, we're just excited to get back to doing what we do, man. I think that's the beauty of our business is just that live, almost unpredictability with the fans. I love that they have the ability to tell you whether something is good or whether something is bad. I just love that very, organic response. I love it. And I love that we're getting that opportunity to get back to it, because a great crowd can make or break a match. And that's something that I always appreciate and love about what we do. It's so different from really just about anything. And I'm glad we're getting to come back to our fans.
Yeah, and again, everything happens for a reason, because you guys would have been a part of Mania last year anyway, had it gone on as planned with the SmackDown Tag Team title match. But again, it means that much more for you to have your first singles match at Mania this year as the Intercontinental Champion. Like you said, you're from the Tampa area, right down the road from the old FCW building, right?
Yeah, no, that's a great point too. Yeah, man, just up Dale Mabry. Keep heading south, and there's FCW, man. That's where we trained, and I feel like so much of this town, of the city, is a part of me and my journey. And I left for a little bit to go to college, but came back. And in so many ways, it feels full circle. And I keep telling people too, like, that's the same stadium, Raymond James. That's where I played my high school football all-star game.
Wow.
In 2003. So it's not just the city, but and then also I've been back with Iowa. We had bowl games. We played Florida there. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Raymond James feels like such a part of my story and my path too.
It's perfect. It's such a perfect, like you said, kind of culmination and going full circle, which is awesome. With Wale, I know the last time we spoke in August, that was just right after you started doing the singles stuff. You were still doing the New Day music and whatnot. Was that an idea at that point to do, I mean, obviously at some point you were going to have your own entrance theme, but was it an idea even at that point to have Wale do your music, or was it really just a wait-and-see approach and something that kind of presented itself?
No, I mean, as soon as they reached out and said, "Hey, we want to do solo entrance music." Wale. That was the first thought. Wale. And I'm so glad we were able to get him. He's perfect in so many ways because he understands wrestling. He understands the business. He's a fan. He's a friend. I just couldn't, he's just such a perfect fit. And I'm so glad we were able to make it work. Oftentimes there are other factors. But when I reached out to him and I made sure we got the clearance and the okay, man, he jumped at it. And that's what I appreciate so much about him is I feel like, as much as, it's cool for him just as a wrestling fan, but I also know like he's done so much to look out for me and to do his best to give me opportunities, and it's really appreciated. So he was just a perfect fit. As soon as I heard a solo entrance theme, Wale.
I don't think this can be understated enough either, in that this is a huge deal because not everyone gets their theme performed at WrestleMania. I mean, we had Ronda Rousey a few years ago, POD did it for Rey Mysterio years ago, obviously Triple H a number of times with Motorhead. Beyond that, though, especially with like the Intercontinental Champion, I'd have to go look back at the last 36 Manias. I'm not sure if the Intercontinental Champions ever had a live entrance theme played for them at Mania, which is a huge deal. I mean, going back to August when you first kind of branched off and started doing your own thing, was this really what you've been waiting for this entire time? Because back then you were saying to people, listen guys, be patient. I'm not going to be serious overnight. You made a lot of great points. I'm not going to ditch the New Day stuff overnight because that would make absolutely no sense. Do you feel like fans finally have a good grasp on like, all right, this is what we've been waiting for this entire time. This is the biggie you guys have been waiting to say?
Yeah, for me, like I said, the situation will always dictate it, just like in anything, Like if you at home if I come to your door and I kick your door down and I come in and I start knocking things over, you'll be pretty upset. But if your day off and it's Saturday and it's a beautiful day outside, and it's your birthday and people bring you presents, you'll probably be happy. The situation will dictate how you react. Mm-hmm. If I'm just serious with no explanation or no real reason, because that's what you think a champion should be, and a champion shouldn't wear bright colors or shouldn't joke around. Like, my intention, my goal is to never be cookie cutter. I never want to be like. I feel like people get used to, this is what we've seen before. This is what we know of a champion. This is the demeanor that we're used to seeing. So we want you to fall in line with that. But me, I want to be a one of one. I want to be myself. I want to be able to look back and say that whether I sunk or I swam, that I did things on my terms. I did things in a way that felt right. Mm-hmm. I tell people too, if I don't have a good sense or a good barometer of how to carry myself or how to behave, after almost 12 years of being in this company, and I don't need to be here. Like, man, let me decide what the temperament is or what the situation calls for. Please trust in me, because I got it. And if I don't got it, then I don't need to be here.
Yeah, and I know you talked a lot about that in your 24-2, which came out a couple of months ago. Actually, not too long ago at all. I think it was only about a month ago, wasn't it? It feels like it was forever ago.
Yeah, only maybe a month. I think so.
Maybe a month. Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. But yeah, I know you talked about a lot there, and it was great. With Wale in this news, did you find out first, or was Wale the first one to find out?
So, actually, it's a good question. I want to say Wale found out first, and then they reached out to me. I think they just want to make sure, like, his availability and everything. Yeah. They reached out to me, saying, "Hey, is this something that you want to do?" And like you don't text me that. You already know. Like, it's automatic. Yeah. So I think we just wanted to make sure, he's a busy man too. I just want to make sure that he was actually available and everything. So we're excited. Normally if this was in a pandemic year, he'd be down here anyways hosting Wale Mania. Mm-hmm. But I'm so glad that he's available and he's here to do it.
You got special gear made already or no?
We're only a few days away, so I definitely have gear ready. But of course, I would not divulge any of that.
Of course.
That's live show, but yeah.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. Final few questions for you, Big E, specifically with the Intercontinental Championship. You were the Intercontinental Champion during your first reign 7-8 years ago. You went into WrestleMania as champion. No Intercontinental title match. I think you were part of the Battle Royal that year. Again, talk about going full circle here, where now you're not only at Mania, but you're in a singles match at Mania, which isn't all that, often for the Intercontinental Championship. Usually it's defended in like these multi-man ladder matches and stuff. When did you find out that you were going to be in a singles match at Mania? The thing with Cruz has been brewing for a while, obviously. But did you ever doubt, okay, it's probably not going to be a singles match. It might involve like 3 or 4 other people. When did you find that out, and what was your reaction?
Man, I didn't really find out. Like, it's one of those things where you kind of think things are headed in a certain way, but the nature of this business. Yep. Things always change, or something else comes up, and you never know. And so I can't remember exactly when it was. There was some talk about it, but I'm kind of always like, we'll see. It really wasn't until, honestly, when Apollo officially, said he's challenging me to a match at WrestleMania, then I said, okay, I guess this thing is actually happening. Yeah. So, I've been told a lot of things in this business and in this industry. And, I'm one of those people that's like, I'll believe it when I see it or when I'm actually in the ring. So it's definitely been something it's a long time coming, man, to be with WWE for this long and to have my first singles match at WrestleMania. And I'm excited about the opportunity and the platform.
It's got to mean a lot, too. I mean, when you compare this match to all the other Intercontinental Championship matches we've gotten over at Mania for the last 30 years now. I mean, you talk about Steamboat and Savage, Shawn Michaels and Razor, even a triple threat a couple of years ago with Rollins, Miz, and Balor was fantastic, too. That's got to mean the world, too, to be a part of not only a singles match at Mania, but for that championship specifically.
Yeah, man. Like you said, like, the lineage is incredible. And my hope, too, is to be worthy of that pantheon of, some of the best to ever do it. And that's something that I don't take flippantly. I always want to remember that, remember what this championship means and just the legends who have held it. And I want to be worthy of being spoken in the same breath as them. So it's constant, man. It's constant work. It's never resting on your laurels. It's never thinking that it's time to coast. And that's something that I always try to remember. And yeah, man, it's so many greats have held this, and when it's all said and done, I want to be considered one of those greats.
For sure. And final question for you, Big E. We're talking about WrestleMania live performances. Do you have a favorite from the last 30 years of the Manias you've seen and been a part of that you're like, oh, wow, that one really stands out as being special? Because, again, only the elite of the elite have gotten WrestleMania live performances. Now you're going to be one of them. Does one stand out from years past to you?
Oh, man, that's a great question. I'd have to really rack my brain. I think Nita did Shinsuke's, was that at Mania?
Yeah, 3 years ago. And I think she's going to be part of it this year, too.
Yeah, I think she's doing the national anthem.
Yeah.
I've loved, man, I'm blanking on, this wasn't at WrestleMania, but the violinist who also did Shinsuke's, I think on his debut, and he did some for takeovers. I'm blanking on his name, but he's really dope.
Yeah, I forget the name, but he was on the SmackDown after Mania, I think, too.
Yes, yeah. Again, that's not Mania, so it doesn't count. But I don't know, something about like Shinsuke, and there's just something about it, and he's incredible too. But yeah, I might go with, that's the one that I remember. I know Snoop is such a legend. I'm trying to remember exactly. I know he rapped Sasha, right? He was there.
Yeah, I think at 32. Yeah.
My memory for this stuff is not good. I'd have to actually think about all the ones, but let's go with Nita doing Shinsuke's.
Yeah, she was fantastic. And I think the cool thing is that when people are asking this question 5-10 years from now, maybe even as soon as next year, you'll be included in that conversation too. You and Wale, it's going to be fantastic. You and Apollo Crews at WrestleMania 37, it's going to be great. I'll be there on Saturday and Sunday, so I'm looking forward to hearing it live. But Big E, this has been awesome, man. Thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me.